Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story from the Bible that, at first glance, can be pretty shocking, even a bit uncomfortable. It's the account of Jesus and the Canaanite woman. You've probably heard it, maybe it even made you raise an eyebrow. Jesus seems harsh, almost dismissive. What's going on there? Is this the same compassionate Jesus we know from other stories? Well, stick with me, because we're going to unpack the hidden layers of this powerful encounter. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll see this story in a whole new light. So let's set the scene. Jesus and his disciples have traveled to the region of Tyre and Sidon. This is important. It's pagan territory, outside the traditional borders of Israel. It's a place where Jewish people typically wouldn't go. Matthew's Gospel calls the woman a Canaanite, while Mark calls her a Syrophoenician. Both terms point to the same thing. She is a Gentile, an outsider. She's not part of the in crowd. This woman, who remains unnamed, approaches Jesus. And she's not just casually asking for something, she's shouting, desperate. Her daughter is severely tormented by a demon. Imagine the pain and desperation of a mother in that situation. She's heard about this healer from Galilee, this miracle worker, and she sees him as her last hope. She cries out, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David." Now let's pause right there. Son of David. This is not just a polite title. This is a messianic title. This pagan woman, this outsider, is proclaiming Jesus' identity with more clarity than many of the religious leaders in Jerusalem. She recognizes him as the promised king, the Messiah of Israel. That alone is astonishing. She has incredible faith before the conversation even really begins. And how does Jesus respond to this desperate, faith-filled plea? He ignores her. Complete silence. It's so awkward that the disciples get annoyed. They come to Jesus and say, "Send her away, for she keeps crying out after us." They just want to get rid of the nuisance. They see her as a problem, not a person. Finally, Jesus breaks his silence. But what he says seems even colder than his silence. He says, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." It sounds like a total rejection. It's like he's saying, "Sorry, you're not on the list. My mission is for a specific group, and you're not in it." If the story ended there, we would all be left confused and disappointed. It seems to contradict everything else we know about Jesus' love and compassion. But this woman is relentless. She doesn't give up. She doesn't get offended and walk away. Instead, she does something incredible. She comes and kneels before him, a posture of complete humility and worship. And she makes her plea even simpler. "Lord, help me." Just 3 words, but they are packed with desperation and faith. She refuses to be turned away. This is where the conversation takes its most shocking turn. Jesus replies with a statement that sounds incredibly harsh to our modern ears. He says, "It is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs." Whoa. Did Jesus just call this woman a dog? This is the verse that makes people cringe. The word dogs in that culture was a common derogatory term used by Jews to refer to Gentiles. It was an insult. So, is Jesus being cruel? Is he insulting this desperate mother? This is the core of the misunderstanding, and to get it, we need to look at the original Greek. The word Jesus uses here isn't the standard word for wild, stray street dogs. The Greek word is kounarios, which means little dogs or puppies, household pets. It's a diminutive term. Think of a beloved family pet that lives in the house, maybe even sleeps at the foot of the bed. It doesn't completely remove the sting, but it changes the tone significantly. It's not a harsh, hateful insult. It's a metaphor, a test. He's not slamming the door in her face, he's cracking it open just a little to see how she'll respond. He's creating a teaching moment, not just for her, but for his disciples who are watching this whole thing unfold. Remember them? The ones who wanted to send her away? They are the primary audience for this lesson. And her response is one of the most brilliant, humble, and faith-filled comebacks in the entire Bible. She doesn't get angry. She doesn't argue with his premise. She accepts it and turns it on its head. She says, "Yes, Lord, yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Just let that sink in. It's genius. She's essentially saying, "I understand, I get it. The main meal, the bread, is for the children of Israel first. I'm not asking to take their place at the table. I'm not demanding a full loaf. I'm just asking for a crumb. I know that even a tiny crumb of your power, a leftover morsel of your grace, is more than enough to heal my daughter." She demonstrates incredible humility. She doesn't claim any rights. She demonstrates incredible wit. She engages with his metaphor and uses it to her advantage. And most importantly, she demonstrates incredible faith. She believes that Jesus' power is so abundant that even the scraps are enough to perform a miracle. She sees the overwhelming generosity of the master of the house. This is the moment the whole encounter has been building towards. Jesus' response is immediate and full of admiration. He says, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you desire." And the Bible tells us that her daughter was healed at that very moment. So, what just happened here? Jesus wasn't being cruel. He was testing and revealing the depth of this woman's faith. Think of it like a master teacher guiding a student. He presented a challenge, a riddle, to draw out the incredible understanding that was already inside her. He was putting her faith on display for everyone to see, especially his disciples. The disciples saw a Gentile woman as a nuisance. Jesus saw her as a giant of faith. He wanted them to see what he saw. This encounter was a living parable. It was a preview of the future, a sign that the good news of the kingdom of God was not going to be confined to the Jewish people. It was going to burst forth and extend to all nations, to everyone who approaches him with humble faith. This story teaches us so much about the nature of faith. Faith is persistent. This woman did not take no for an answer. When faced with silence, she kept pleading. When faced with an apparent rejection, she knelt and worshipped. When faced with a challenging metaphor, she found the glimmer of hope within it and held on tight. How often do we give up when our prayers aren't answered immediately? This woman teaches us to persevere. It also teaches us that faith is humble. She didn't come to Jesus demanding what she thought she deserved. She came recognizing her position as an outsider, but with full confidence in his goodness and power. She was content with the crumbs because she knew the master of the house was infinitely generous. Her humility opened the door for a miracle. And finally, this story reveals the heart of Jesus. He wasn't trying to exclude her. He was orchestrating a moment that would dramatically include her. He was breaking down the social, racial, and religious barriers of his day. He was showing his disciples and all of us that access to God isn't about your bloodline, your background, or your religious resume. It's about faith. Period. The very fact that Jesus was in Tyre and Sidon in the first place shows his intention to reach beyond the borders of Israel. This encounter wasn't an accident. It was a divine appointment. So, the next time you read this story and feel a little uncomfortable, remember the context. Remember the little dogs. Remember the disciples who needed this lesson more than anyone. And most of all, remember the incredible woman whose sharp wit and relentless faith not only saved her daughter, but also taught the world a profound lesson about God's radical, inclusive love. She came seeking crumbs and walked away with a feast of grace, leaving a legacy of faith that inspires us to this day. Thanks so much for watching. If this video helped you see this story in a new way, hit that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What other Bible stories have you found challenging? I'd love to hear about them. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the scriptures. See you in the next video.